Okay, let's take a few more questions. Sampath G asks, has India ever had freedom of speech? Is suppression of speech a new phenomenon? Very few countries in world have absolute freedom. I think as a traveling comedian, I can tell you that I think there's one country in the world that has absolute freedom of speech. And I don't want to name it because then people will start going like, you hate it's not that. It's just that every single country has, in the Middle East, you can't talk about people in power. In parts of Southeast Asia, you can't talk about people in power. In certain places, you can't talk about religion. In some places, you can't talk about food habits. It's just, I don't know. What do you guys think of this question?
My view on this is, I said that about the educational system, that almost from the time our country was founded, we've had unreasonable restrictions on freedom of speech. If you look at the books and movies that were banned in the 1950s, apart from the fact they banned Playboy magazine while everybody else was reading Pondis and all kinds of hardcore porn, they banned Area of Darkness by V.S. Naipaul because they said it was anti-Indian. There was this book called Rama Retold by Aubrey Menon, which was version of the Ramayana. They banned that. So we've had a very dishonorable record of banning works of literature, banning movies. I remember I was in Bombay in 74, I think it was. Jesus Christ Superstar, the hit musical, which had been performed in Bombay, done by Alec Padamsee. A movie came there, admittedly not a very good movie, but the Catholic Church objected and the movie was banned. So we were in the bizarre situation of being the only country in the world which banned a movie made by Christians about their Christian God, which we said, as a great secular nation, was offensive. Let's take the case of the Da Vinci Code, again a film made in the West, which was a big hit in the West. Nobody in the West thought it was anti-Christian. The Christian church objected over here and said the film should be banned. At that stage, Sharmila Tagore was head of the censor board, and she told them to go take a flying jump. They went then to Priyaranjan Das Munshi, who was the INB minister, who arranged a special screening and asked Sharmila Tagore if she could, adjust and be a little accommodating. She asked him to take a flying jump. And the movie was released in India without any cuts at all. So all you really need is guts. If people stand up for freedom of speech at this level, at the governmental level, you get somewhere. But unfortunately, it's now passed from government to mob. The real threat to freedom of speech doesn't come from the government. It comes from mobs. You make a movie where something offends some community, they'll come and they'll burn down the cinema. So obviously nobody's going to take that kind of risk. You say something offensive about somebody or what they consider offensive, a mob will come and beat you up. So the problem with freedom of speech is not, as we like to imagine, repressive governments. It's repressive citizens. That's our problem.
Yeah.
Even satanic verses, for example, was first banned in India before anywhere else. Ironically, these birth country.
But that I had something to do with that, since you're asking.
Yeah. Okay.
The book came Penguin India. I was editor of Sunday then, and Penguin India was part of the ABP group, which owns Sunday, and it was sent to Khushwant Singh, who was then consulting editor. And Khushwant Singh said that the book is very offensive to Muslims and Penguin India should not publish an Indian edition. My boss at the time, Avik Sarkar, who also owned ABP and therefore Penguin India, said, screw you, we are going to publish it anyhow. But I knew that this controversy was on. And so when our London correspondent went to interview Salman Rushdie, I asked her to ask him what he felt about the controversy. And Rushdie knew nothing about it. And he said very grandly, it's a funny view of the world to think that a book could cause riots. Ha, ha, ha. The interview appeared. Shahabuddin, he was then an MP at that time, read it and called for a ban on the book. And I phoned him and I said, you've not even read the bloody thing. On what basis are you calling for a ban? He said, no, I've read the interview. It sounds like an offensive book. This demand that skyrocketed, spiraled out of control among people who'd not read a single copy of the book, had no idea what it said. Various people got involved. The government of India responding, as it had done in the Shah Banu case, to pressure from the Muslim community and fearful of riots, immediately banned it. The ban was echoed in Pakistan, where a mob attacked the British Council office. Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran saw television and saw the attack on the British Council and said, what is this about? So somebody explained to him in Farsi that one man had written one very bad book and they were all complaining about that. He said, fine, issue a fatwa, let's kill him.
Fatwa.
And that is how the fatwa was issued by people who'd
boy.
never even read the book. It's a
Wow.
scary story. No?
I think
Wow.
we will be expecting a tweet from Salman Rushdie shortly, where he's like, "I have found the man who started the entire domino effect."
It's
Signed by Joseph Anton.
Thing that a book could cause riots.
Yeah.
This is great. I genuinely didn't know this whole story. Okay.